The Brighter Side Worldwide is a global movement to help people become more positive, happy, content, and satisfied. We are dedicated in sharing, promoting, educating, and being a source for you to accomplish these objectives. Your mood matches what you fill your mind with all day and whom you surround yourself with. Why not allow us to help you in your journey? We have many ways for you to get involved and engaged. Whether it's our radio show, magazine column, video series, newsletter, or our free app, it's all designed with you in mind. Please join us now and help everyone start providing smiles for your soul. Welcome to the Brighter Side Radio Show. I'm your host, Ron Kern, and we are all in for a very special treat today. We have two extraordinary people, both successful in business and personal lives, and it is a true honor to have them both on our program. Their schedules are incredibly ridiculous most of the time, so it is an honor to have them on our program. We are going to discuss what it's like working with some of the most powerful and influential people on the planet, who inspires them, Ivan's cancer scare, which he cured himself. Yes, I just said he cured it himself. He's going to provide free information on that story, why they are so charitable and giving, and also discuss the newest development within their company, Business Voices. I am, of course, speaking about power couple, Dr. Ivan Misner and Elizabeth Misner.
For those of you that don't know, Dr. Ivan Misner is the founder and chairman of BNI, which is the world's largest business networking organization. That was founded in 1985. It has over 6,600 chapters throughout every populated continent of the world. Last year, BNI generated 5.4 million referrals, resulting in $6.5 billion worth of business for its members. Dr. Misner's PhD is from University of Southern California. He's also a New York Times best-selling author who has written 19 books, including his latest release, Who's in Your Room? He is a columnist for Entrepreneur.com and Fox Business News, and has taught business management at several universities throughout the United States. In addition, he is the senior partner for the Referral Institute, which is a referral training company with trainers around the globe. He's often called the father of modern networking by CNN and the networking guru by Entrepreneur magazine. Dr. Misner is considered to be one of the world's leading experts on business networking and has been a keynote speaker for major corporations and associations throughout the world. He's been featured in countless publications such as the LA Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, as well as numerous TV and radio shows, including CNN, BBC, The Today Show, and NBC. He's on the board of trustees for University of Laverne. He's also the co-founder of BNI Charitable Foundation and was recently named Humanitarian of the Year by the Red Cross. He and his wife, Beth, are now empty nesters with 3 adult children. And just if that wasn't enough, he fit in getting a black belt in karate, and he's also an amateur magician because he has so much spare time in his schedule. Beth is the co-founder of the BNI Foundation, which is the charity arm of BNI. Since 1998, she has overseen the contribution of $3 million in grants and donations to children's charities and disaster relief agencies around the world. Recently, her vision to connect business owners with schools and educational organizations with the greatest need has resulted in the creation of the Business Voices movement. Beth is an ordained Christian minister, best-selling author, international speaker, and has been awarded Red Cross Humanitarian of the Year award as well. She lives in Austin along with Ivan. So, whew, I need
we're exhausted just listening to that.
I mean, you know, so if that wasn't enough, very impressive, incredible. Just so everyone listening knows, I've had the extreme honor and pleasure in spending some rare quality time, several days in a row, and doing some things that are both outside of our comfort zone, such as visiting, the roughest schools in Louisiana and things like that. So I'm not part of their organization, although I'm part of an organization that is involved with Business Voices. But take all their accolades and all of their business, clearly their business success, networking, entrepreneurship. I really want to just let everyone know that in addition to that, these two are absolutely genuine, caring, giving human beings, and it's rare that when you have two people that have this on their resume, so to speak, that the positive that they implore onto others and the generosity is really what drew me to them. So welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ron. It's a pleasure being on.
Very kind of you. Kind words. Thank you.
Not a problem. So I think some people might want to know and never have the opportunity to ask, what is it like overseeing such a large company that doesn't just kind of oversee a state or a region or a country? I mean, this is a worldwide business. And what's that like?
It's for me, it's a little surreal because, I started this in a community with the idea of helping to generate referrals for my friends and for myself, and now it's become literally a global phenomenon. We're now over 6,900 chapters all around the world, so it's sometimes mind-boggling to me. But I think the one thing that has really stood out is that business people are, to a large extent, business people all around the world. They want to do business more effectively or efficiently. And if you can show them ways to do that, it doesn't matter, what country you're in. They want to be more successful in their business.
Beth, did you have any insight to that?
Well, it's really like my son Trey said to me, "How are you doing, Mom? How's everything going?" And I said, "You know what? Life is really big." And he said, "What do you mean by life is big?" And that's really how I feel as it is involving what we're doing with BNI. It's big. We have a very big organization. It has a very tight, close feeling because the camaraderie and the culture is so strong. But there are days where I just am awed and amazed at what everyone together is building with this thing called BNI. It's very gratifying, soul satisfying, and very big.
Well, one of the I again had a luxury of attending their international conference a few weeks ago, and I think what struck me, besides the quality of people, was that literally when most business people sit down and they talk at a coffee shop or the board meeting, they're talking about how to reach outside maybe their roadmap to how to grow their business and how are they going to expand a little bit. And literally within 15 to 30 minutes, I had spoken to people from everywhere. I mean, literally the world was available within that room, from India to obviously the United States and Japan. It was just incredible that because of what you guys have created, it's really connected people in a way that is so much, in my opinion, so much better than social media, because these people are really genuine. But that's what struck me, was having the ability, I wonder what people in India would think. Well, let me just go ask them. It was just incredible. You guys have,
our conferences are a little bit like a United Nations meeting with people from almost 60 countries, flags from all over the world. And for your listeners who don't know BNI, we're a referral organization, and we help people generate business through referrals. And I think probably one of the things I've learned in running this global company is different people, different places, different races, different religions, different countries, different cultures. We all speak the language of referrals. We all want to do business based on trust and relationships. And so it doesn't matter the cultural context. People want to do business with people they trust. And so that's what we've tried to do at BNI, is build an environment where individuals can get to know and trust each other, and with that trust then support one another worldwide.
That's powerful. And at the end of the show, I'm going to go ahead and list ways that people can get involved, become members, learn more, get involved with Business Voices. And because I can tell you, just in one short weekend, instantly, I mean, I'm speaking with friends that I made on a regular basis from all over the world. Brazil, two gals in India. I mean, it's just amazing. And I'm not even involved yet with BNI, and I know how well it works. So I will encourage everybody to explore that if they really want to not only help their business, but do it in the correct way, which is your motto and how you do things. You guys obviously have met, had some personal experiences, became friends with a lot of well-known, big-time, important, I guess the best way it would be described it is powerful people. Richard Branson, and the list could go on as long as your accolades. What is it like working with these people? I mean, at some point you were getting bigger, and then you started getting this and that and talking with interviews, and then all of a sudden you're with these powerful players. And were those people what you expected? Did they act the same way that you expected? What's that like working with such powerful players in the business?
Well, I'd love to hear Beth's comments on this, but my response would be it kind of depends on who you're talking about. We prefer to work with people whose egos don't enter the room before them. And so I would certainly consider Branson to be one of those people. He does not have such a big ego that it enters, any room before he does. He's very very authentic kind of a person, and can really converse effectively with people at all levels of an organization. And I've seen it personally where he has had meaningful conversations with the wait staff at a party for my teenage son at an event, and he has complete and total eye contact and is listening when there are millionaires and billionaires in the room, but yet he takes the time to talk to sort of the everyman in the room, and so I like working with people like that, and I think Beth would probably agree.
Yeah, it's really important to us, Ron, to watch how people behave on stage and off stage, because the who's in your room concept that Ivan talks about is about surrounding yourself with people that share common values with you. And if we are in the presence of someone who is a big name, and when they get off the stage, they're speaking shortly and rudely to wait staff or their own staff or family members, or they're speaking about their adoring public disparagingly, that's not someone we care to necessarily get closer to, no matter how big or successful they are, because that doesn't align itself well with our values and the culture that we try to surround ourselves with. So as Ivan mentioned with Richard Branson, he is very congruent. He's the type of guy that the staff love him when he's not there, kind of a thing. And I would say the same thing about Jack Canfield and Lisa Nichols and people like that who are authentic. we love those people because what you see is who and what they are, and it's a pleasure to be around people like that at any stature.
And you know what's ironic is that many of the really successful people that we know are in fact very authentic. And what's interesting is that some of the people who are the wannabes, they're not nearly as successful, have egos that enter the room a block before they enter the room. I have met people that just, we're a completely different person off stage than the persona on stage, and I just scratch my head because they're not even that successful yet. They're acting as though they're prima donnas. And so, I think to some extent, most of the people who are really successful have gotten there because they're fairly genuine. I know there are exceptions, and I know a couple, but most of them are pretty genuine.
Well, I noticed that during the dinner portion at the international conference that both of you were very attentive and kind and respectful to the wait staff, to everybody. And so I think that really says a lot about a person. So thank you for that insight, because, not everybody gets to be with or have a relationship with somebody big name type person. And if they do, they certainly aren't going to ask, what's that like, unless you're on my radio show. So I had to get that out, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that people wanted to know that. Last question before we delve into the wonderful things that you guys do outside of your business, in a sense, is I wanted to find out from both of you, and it doesn't matter who goes first, but who inspires you the most, or who have you learned the most from? That's kind of a loaded question because you guys have come across so many people, but is there somebody that you can say, this particular person for me inspired me the most, or I really learned the most from?
Beth, you want to go first?
I know he.
No,
you can have me go first.
No, I'm happy to do it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave, because I have so many people to choose from.
Yeah, I know, as do I, and I'm not sure I could limit it. I'd have to say, first and foremost, it's got to be my mom and dad. I learned how to work with people because of my mother, and I really developed my work ethic from my father. And, in terms of core values, there's no question it comes from that. And one of the things that I love about Elizabeth is that she is probably one of the most well-read persons I know, one of the most well-read people that I know. She just is a voracious reader, and I really, that inspires me how much she reads. She does circles around me in terms of how much content she reads. And I love her passion for giving back to the community, like Business Voices, the program that was inspired by her. So, these are three people that absolutely have had a big influence on my life. In terms of business people, it would have to be people like Michael Gerber, who wrote The E-Myth, Jack Canfield, who you met at our conference. He's a good friend. And, of course, people like Branson and his ability to network at all levels of an organization. So I think I've been inspired and I've learned from many, many different people.
Wonderful.
So
Beth, have you had enough?
Definitely. I definitely draw a lot of inspiration from Ivan. I was 21 years old when I met him, and I was a little skeptical because the people around me were like, "Oh, Ivan Misner, he's so this, he's so that," and I'm like, "Yeah, how can one person be all those things?" And then I went and heard him speak, and I realized, he's really phenomenal, and he's a great guy, and he is all those things. I'm very, very inspired by how committed he is to the culture that he has created around him. I mean, there's times where I have said, look, we don't have to use a BNI member for everything that we do. And he is adamant that if there's even a sniff of a hint that the BNI member could help us, we're going to use the BNI member first. So I'm, very, very inspired by that. And as far as like bigger personas out there in the world, I might say that Lisa Nichols really, really inspires me. We got to know Lisa before she was very popular from the movie and the Secret. She's one of the teachers in The Secret, and became regular on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And we were there with her during the beginning of that transformation for her, and her core has stayed true to who she is. And I've been very, very inspired by that, and like to model my own identity. Shall I maybe put it that way? I'd like to model that after her, no matter how good the press is and how big the organization gets. I want to be true to who I am as well, and be very authentic. And she's great at doing that. So I take a note from her.
That is really awesome. That in fact, I was just trying to recall if I've had a married couple on before that one of the people that inspired them was their spouse, and I know you two personally, so I know you're not just saying that, but that's very interesting, and I wonder if that dynamic. Well, I bet that dynamic has really assisted with your success. Thank you for sharing.
You bet.
Our pleasure.
Now, let's talk about why you guys feel it's important to give back, donate, help others, whereas a lot of people that make a lot of money and have a lot of things going on, the mentality, I would say, overall, and there is exceptions, but overall, people are really wanting to ensure that they grow their stockpile and they stash assets and they hide and hoard money. And the ones that might not probably have a tax write-off in mind. And you do a lot of giving back and you do a lot of donating. And clearly you help others financially, conversationally, all the time. Why do you feel that's important? Is that just part of your spirit? Or what's your insight on that?
Well, I'm happy to tackle that one first. I really believe that you can make a good living while serving a greater good. They're not incongruent, at least not for me. I believe I have a responsibility to put back into the communities that I draw from. And look, I like money. I like being comfortable, but I'm not highly motivated by wealth. I'm really not. As a matter of fact, I did a values analysis. Another company that I own run called the Referral Institute. You may have met some of my partners at the BNI conference. Mm-hmm. We took a values test, and there was my partners and some of the senior players in the organization, and there's about 8 of us. We took a values test, and wealth was one of them. I was the second lowest person in the group for wealth being a priority. It's low in my values. And they were shocked by that because I was the wealthiest person in the room. But it was not a surprise to me because wealth is a way of contributing back to society. And I think that's been an important part of who I am and certainly an important part of who Elizabeth is. And we do that through our charitable arm, the BNI Foundation and the Misner Foundation.
So for me, I think that the foundation and the root is my spiritual upbringing, the way I was raised and my groundedness in Scripture. There's a passage in Malachi that I memorized at a very early age. I started tithing when I was, old enough to start getting an allowance. And it says that if you bring the whole tithe into the storehouse so that there may be food in my house, test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. And I always try to bring that tithe into the storehouse, and make sure that in the ways that I can help, and the ways that I can make sure that there's food in God's house metaphorically, that I was committed to do that. And it's almost like the more I try to give away, the more comes in, and so then I can give away more. And it's really a fun dynamic. I had an interesting situation not long ago. I have kind of a little personal slush fund that I call my Barnabas Fund. And if some of the close friends of mine have certain needs that they don't have the finances for, I can step in and kind of help out with those things. And someone needed some support and some help, and I said, I can take that on, and I offered to help them. And the very next day, my husband came to me and he said, look, we're closing this certain bank account and it's got some extra funds in it, and I just want to give you that amount to do whatever you'd like with it. And it was to a penny, the exact same amount that I had just given away the day before. So it's definitely something you can test the Lord and see if He will not do it, and He does do it. But here's another thing for me. I've lived without. I've lived so poor that at the end of the pay period, and I paid all my bills, I couldn't even go to Wendy's and buy a single with cheese or, something like that. I had nothing extra. And I've had abundance, and now we're living very comfortably. And you're not happier if you have more stuff. I can tell you that from experience. You might be a little more comfortable, but you're not necessarily going to be happier. Happiness is not dependent on how wealthy you are, how rich and increased with goods you are. That's an attitude that comes from within, from your own heart.
And that's the mentality, I think, of the way of the world. You can see a lot of really, the happier.
Yeah, but you see really unhappy, miserable, rich folks. And somebody goes, that I could be so miserable, make me that miserable. But if that's at your core value, is increasing and having more and more, then you are going to value that more than being happy. But I would prefer to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and my brief experience was, we were, my wife and I just had our daughter, and I was making, I think, almost $4 an hour, and we were in, low-income housing, shag carpet, didn't have a bed for 2 years, but we did have a mattress, and so when you have both sides, some of the happiest moments of that I recall were back in that house. And so really, I think you can be a lot more comfortable, like a more padded couch in a huge mansion, but you're 100% right. It's not going to make you happier. And people feel if you're popular, if you're more known, if you can spend money however you want, that equates to happiness. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it truly doesn't. And those that have never had that luxury of, hey, I want that, I'm going to buy it, they can't experience that things don't make you happy. So you're 100% right. Wow, there's just so much that wisdom that's coming out of this. I'm just trying to not soak it all up again, because it's hard not to, because your stories are so awesome. Okay, we're going to talk to a couple of different points. One is the Misner plan, and then the other we're going to delve a little bit into business voices and how that came about, and you can share that. So just in a real brief summary, Ivan has relayed this story many, many, many times, and I'm sure it gets a little tiresome at times. So I don't expect him to relay the entirety of the situation. But bottom line is that he had cancer, and he started eating healthy, and that falls under a lot of the Misner plan. But he set up a Misner plan with his food and what he doesn't eat, what he does eat, and literally he puts this out on the web for free. So without having to have you relay your whole story again, Ivan, share a little bit about your cancer, what happened, and then what is the Misner plan, and who maybe should consider it.
Well, 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I was told that I had 6 months to make a decision as to what to do. So it wasn't a real fast growing cancer, so I had a little bit of time. And really, Elizabeth put me in touch with doctors that she highly recommended and she knew, who used nutrition as a way of building the immune system to fight this kind of thing. I did it with the idea that I would be in a healthier place for when I had to go and do surgery, because I'm a very Western medicine, business, linear thinking kind of guy. And, what's the worst, what's the least worst alternative? Is it going to be surgery, chemotherapy, radiation? What is it? And so I just wanted to be in a healthy place. So I started following this diet, which is very organic, mostly vegetable-based, no processed foods, no sugar. And I started following it, and my tests started coming back better and better and better. And within 9 months, my urologist was scratching his head saying, what are you doing? You're in remission. How did this happen? And within a year and a half, I was even further into remission, and just 4 months ago received an all-clear report. I never did surgery, radiation, chemotherapy. I did no invasive procedure. All I did was change the way I ate. I think one of the things that we forget in Western medicine is that Hippocrates, doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, and he's considered the father of Western medicine. But we have forgotten one of the things that Hippocrates said, and that is, let food be your medicine and medicine your food. I was not a believer in nutrition to cure health problems until I had a serious health problem, completely changed my diet, and went into complete remission. It is just shocking to me how this information is not out there. And so I just put everything out that I did for free, and I say I did, but the truth is Elizabeth put most of that website together. So, and most of the plan was developed by her. So, my story, but she did the lion's share of the work in getting the Misner plan out there, and everything up there is for free. Anybody can read it and do it.
Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely so incredible. I think possibly that maybe it's not out there as much as that if a lot of people became much healthier, there might be a lot of money lost. But that's a different show. But I want to encourage people to visit MisnerPlan.com. In fact, I kind of watched what you guys ate. In fact, I had a meal that was under your plan, and overall we eat very organic. But I have started yesterday the Misner plan myself, and so I'm doing an intense. I say intense. It's because I'm just not sugars and everything. So and cancer loves sugar. So that's probably going to be the hardest part, but the food part's real easy. I'm eating all organic everything, and so if anybody. And I think it's important to note that it's not just for people that might have a medical issue. If you eat like this and under the plan and the foods that you list, likely you're going to avoid major issues down the road. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening, don't think that, I don't have anything yet, so I don't need to worry about it. Take a look. The facts are there. They're pretty undisputed, and it's an awesome plan. And I'll check back in a month and let you know. I'm sure I'll have lost quite a bit of weight and probably feel 100 times better. So thank you for sharing that. Again, the full story, all the details, MisnerPlan.com.
Misner, yeah.
Yep, Misner, MisnerPlan.com. All this will be linkable when this goes online. So it'll be easy for you guys to visit all their links. So, Beth, tell me about Business Voices. What is it? How did you come up with this idea? I do know the background of it, but it's so incredible that I just wanted you to share your vision for it, how it came about, and what your input is on it.
Thanks so much. Yeah, the BNI Foundation has been doing work with children in education since 1998, as you mentioned in your introduction, and we have been doing $1,000 mini grants to teachers right into the classrooms to help them with their needs and being able to teach the kids well. And we have had this explosion happening in Ferguson, and I thought, one of the ways the BNI Foundation can kind of show that we care about our brothers and sisters there, and we want to do what we can to help the education system in the inner cities, and specifically with Ferguson, my thought was to find a school there and give a grant, and that would show, our support and our care and concern. And somehow in the situation, watching night after night as the clashes were getting a little bit more serious and more violent, I thought, one grant to one school is not really big enough. It's not going to make a big enough difference to have any meaning at all in it. And then Mike Brown's funeral happened, and someone stood up and spoke at his service and said, we have a problem in this country. When we can afford to provide military-grade equipment to our police, but we can't equip our classrooms to teach our kids and to keep them on the path of education and toward becoming productive citizens. And I thought, he's very, very right. This is not a problem that's exclusive to Ferguson, Missouri. This is a problem that we're having in inner cities and urban cities, and even to some extent in rural urban areas where kids are dropping out of school. They start dropping out of school in middle school. In some communities, especially even in rural communities, the kids are dropping out of school, and the graduation rates are low. And then with the low graduation rates comes higher levels of violence and criminal behavior. And I started thinking about what kind of a bigger impact could BNI have, because we have these 172,000 members. We have businesses, 172,000 businesses represented by these members. And in our contact with Richard Branson, he's been talking a lot lately about the B team and Plan B and how business has the reach to really have a powerful, strong impact in areas. He likes to say that business is not just about profit. It can be about people, the planet, and profit. So how can I kind of take that mantra and bring it into BNI and then have it ripple out beyond BNI? And I started thinking of a Business Voices movement where we're actually connecting business owners in all of the communities that are served by BNI with educators and educational organizations that have the greatest need, because it's not just about the money. And you said this to me, Ron, to Ivan and I, that when you've gone around with Stand Up America and you've had the opportunity to ask kids, what do you need? What's the thing you need the most? That you've heard them say, we need an adult to just listen to us for 10 minutes and give us time. And so what we've done is put together this initiative to help with awareness. It's an awareness campaign. What are the issues relating to education in your community? How can you find out what they are? And then how can you get linked to the organizations that are having the biggest impact in those issues? For example, in Japan, their number one issue with youth is an extremely high teen suicide rate. So in Japan, Business Voices will be looking for the organizations that are having the greatest impact and improvement in those types of issues, which are serious. They're grave. That's urgent. It needs to be done. And how can business step in and be, as Ivan likes to say, noble? Business can be noble. And there are ways we can do more than just writing a check. We can get involved in mentoring. We can get involved in putting together a community group to go do a beautification project at a school that's run down and dumpy. Kids show more pride in their environment if it's not run down and dumpy. You know, we've got business owners who have carpeting companies and people who can come in and wire classrooms for the internet where it's accepted by the schools. So we have this kind of like a workforce of volunteers that if they know where to serve and what is needed, they can be there to help out. So that's what we're doing with Business Voices.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know when we went into the school in Louisiana.
Oh, that was amazing.
It was an incredible thing that transpired, and you know, trust me, I felt out of place growing up in Idaho. My schools that I attended were mansions compared to what we saw, and I think that says and speaks volumes about both of your characters and integrity, because a lot of people in your position would and do write a check. Mm-hmm. But when you guys physically walk into a school that, I say houses because it really is their last stop before prison or death, and you're there with them and physically involved and engaged, there's not a whole lot of people in your particular situation that would even consider it, let alone take the time, let alone do it. And you know, it takes a lot of courage to do that. And you guys both were walking in, the security guards or the police officers and the metal detectors and all of that. And of course, Beth has written a wonderful blog that you can check out on that experience. So Business Voices is a very beneficial movement that is serious traction. So I encourage all of you guys to check it out.
We went to our international conference, and Ron Yu and Dirk Bowles were there with us, and I came in with a 5-5-5 challenge. I wanted to enroll 5 countries to commit to helping 5 schools with 5 needs, and we had 10 countries, BNI countries, that said we will bring Business Voices to our communities, and we had 10 U.S. cities, directors from 10 U.S. cities that also said we will bring Business Voices to our communities. So it's definitely something that caught their attention, and it's really catching all of our interest and our hearts and flaming those passions to help out. So the more people we get inspired and engaged, the more of an impact we'll be able to have with children and youth who are our future.
They are our future, and you know, I think there's a lot that business can do. I know that business people sometimes feel overwhelmed with all the things that need to be done in the world, but I am a real believer that you may not be able to make a world of difference, but you can make a difference in the world, and you do that just one bite at a time. Do what you can, whatever business you're in, whatever you do what little you can, because it all adds up to something pretty spectacular if everyone does what they can do individually.
Well, that's more wisdom for people to really grab a hold of, and I always say talk is cheap, so get involved. It's not difficult, and the rewards are just like you said, they overflow, and if you're being blessed, you should be a blessing to others, and that's what Lisa and I have kind of done with our life. And I just want to thank both of you. Having you guys take time, you guys are in both. We're in 3 time zones for our listeners. Scheduling them at the same time is very difficult, and their schedules, I spoke with them prior to the show. I don't know how they keep up with it. It's absurd. So I want to personally thank you for taking time, and I want to know that Beth and Ivan obviously are huge business folks, but I feel it's more important, and I want to highlight that they are inspiring they're generous, they're giving, they're helpful, educated, kind, and they're passionate people. And I think that you guys out there, if you're not involved, you should be, and it's easy. If you want to add your business to the 170,000, go to BNI.com. You know, there's three things in life that really affect your life, and that's business, civic involvement, investment, and your health. And you guys have covered all three and provided a resource and a place for go. So if you want to add your business and learn more about BNI, go to BNI.com. If you want to get involved and learn more and help, go to businessvoice.org. And if you want to become healthier and feel better, then obviously I recommend going to MisnerPlan.com. All of those will be clickable below. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add before I let you go off to your hectic schedules?
Well, thank you for inviting us to be on your show, Ron. I really appreciate it. And I'd like to share with your listeners one thing that you taught me that I learned from you, and that is when we were talking about what kids really need in school and how what you taught me was that you had a young man say, look, you know, I don't need a new computer. I don't need, you to buy something. What I need is an adult to spend a little time with us and just listen to us. And I thought that was so powerful, and I share that story now everywhere I'm talking about Business Voices, that it's not just about writing a check, it's about spending a little time, or writing a check, it's about contributing in whatever way you can to your local community. So thanks for sharing that story with me.
Oh, no, appreciate it.
I like what I'm learning from you, Ron, in that one person has the potential to make a profound difference in somebody else's life, whether it's even just that hug or that positive comment or something a little more deep like mentoring a young person, that you can make such a difference for someone if you just reach out, kind of look up, get your vision kind of off just self and what's going on in your immediate surroundings and what can you do to be a blessing to someone else. So thank you for your inspiration, because you're doing inspirational things too.
Well, coming from you both, that was very kind, and I'm honored to have those. But I'm just a little worker bee. I'm God's little helper. That's the only accolades I have. I just do what I'm told.
That's a good one.
or feel where I'm being led. So everyone listening, seriously, if you want quality assisting others, quality business opportunity for your company. If you don't own a company, talk to the person who does. Get them involved. If you know somebody that needs a little, actually probably a lot better health, and whether it be losing weight or just internally becoming more healthy, MisnerPlan.com. I want to thank both of you. I hope that you both have a blessed day, and hopefully you'll be on the same time zone soon.
Soon, yeah.
Soon.
I hope
so. Thank you guys again. I appreciate your time.
Thanks to you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Oh, you betcha.
I'd like to highlight our free app available for Android or Apple, which brings you instant access to everything that we do. So download it now. You'll be happy you did. We want you to visit our website or download our app and receive your own wristband and represent the area in which you live. We currently have an interactive map to show you our current reach, and none of what we do will cost you anything. So get involved. Don't worry. Be happy.